is about uh, different types of wheelchairs for you to choose in your country or in ours. I'll talk about some details in the United States and what it takes to be able to get XYZ wheelchairs. Hello, everyone. My name is Lisa, and you have just joined World Wheelchair Warriors, where we talk about everything wheelchairs. All right. Um, I will be putting up some. Let's see here. Move it over. I'm going to be talking about some uh, wheelchairs here, different types, which sometimes people don't know. They just know, the manual medical wheelchair. So we're going to talk about those, but we're going to talk about other types that sometimes are not talked about, which I didn't know about until I got my own wheelchair and started investigating to understand wheelchairs in general. So, and that's how I got this website set up, because you don't get that information from your therapist or from a doctor. They just offer you a wheelchair, get you the wheelchair, and send you home, and that's it. So let's review some types of wheelchairs so you know if you're a person who is considering a wheelchair for your health and your well-being, or a doctor already recommended a wheelchair for you, and you're kind of swimming. You don't know where to go with one or the other. All right. So we're going to talk about first those that we've seen all the time, which are the medical wheelchairs, those heavy ones that you see in hospitals and clinics. Those are known as medical wheelchairs. They're heavy, period. And you can wheel yourself around, but you're going to exhaust yourself. Uh, those are mainly for people to push you around. So those are the medical. Then there are ones that are a lightweight wheelchairs that are kept at home, that people will use to push you to get you to a car or to get you to the car to a clinic. And it's a lightweight foldable wheelchair. You cannot push yourself around because the wheels are just smaller. So you've seen those. They use them at the airports. They use them at homes where they have a person who's injured or elderly. And so they put the person in that wheelchair and they take them somewhere. So, and that it's easy just to fold it up. It's smaller. It's not a very comfortable wheelchair by any means, but it's transportable. Let's put it that way. Then we have the wheelchairs that you can use, temporary or transitional wheelchairs. And those can be the medical and the transport wheelchairs. But, those are not very comfortable either, in such a long time. So, but those are the ones they use for a transient situation, such as if you got a knee surgery or you had hip surgery or there's a back issue. They're going to give you somewhat comfortable wheelchair your size, but it's heavy, So those are not exactly the wheelchairs you want to keep. You're really going to want to finish that therapy and get on your feet again. Because they are a little uncomfortable to keep. Now we're going to talk about long-term or permanent. Now long-term, they're going to give you a much lighter wheelchair. Usually it's called, and let me get the name straight here, because I used to use that type of wheelchair. It is a sport lightweight that can be foldable or not foldable. You can pop off the wheels, and then it's just the frame, and throw that in the car. So that is the sports lightweight manual wheelchair, and that can be used in a long or permanent basis. You have to be able to have good shoulders and be able to carry your weight, in terms of, you know, making sure you can do this action for a little while. If you go to the store, if you go to see a friend, if you go to the restaurant, you have to be able to do this motion. Because my shoulders are not in very good shape, the therapist, when I first met her, she said, "Okay, so we're talking about a wheelchair here." And I was like, "Huh? What?" So, and then she laid off. She didn't say anything more. And then the next day, the next time we saw each other, she talked about it for about 10 minutes, and that's it. And then the third time, and she did this a couple of times just so it would sink in my mind in terms of why we would be ordering a wheelchair and how it would help me. So she asked me at one point, "What kind of wheelchair do you think you need?" And I said, "Well, the only wheelchair I've used is manual." And she said, "No, that wheelchair is no longer beneficial for you." So I said, "Well, aside from the manual, I don't know." So she talked to me about power wheelchairs, and I had no information about power wheelchairs. I had no idea. so So then she took, and then that's all she said, just power wheelchairs. And then the next appointment, then she talked to me about the types of power wheelchairs, the simple power wheelchairs, the complex power wheelchairs, and the travel type power wheelchairs, which you couldn't order because those really weren't covered by insurance. So that is a Post-it note for those who are looking at insurance and Medicare and a private insurance. They're not covered because they're not made for full-time use. So that's really important for you to ding, 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 not for heavy-duty everyday use. The travel ones. All right, so let's go back to the sports. No, let's go not to the sports. We're done with those. Those are pretty much self-explanatory. But let's talk about the power wheelchairs. I'm in a simple power wheelchair by by Pride Mobility. It's a very good company. It's one of the best companies in the United States. So Jazzy Select 6 is the one I'm using, and that one is a regular power wheelchair. So I use it every day here at home. I use it for when I go out every day. So when I go out, I have to use the power wheelchair. And why? Because I have issues with my both legs, and I have fibromyalgia. And if I go out the fibromyalgia and go to a store, do whatever I need to do, it's going to kick me in the rear. And my legs are going to give out because I can only walk, a certain distance. So the power wheelchair is my buddy and my friend, and I don't care what other people think. I really don't. So that's the simple power wheelchair. It doesn't do anything special other than go forward, go backward, go sideways, and go in a circle when you need to turn around. And that is a benefit of the mid-wheel power wheelchair. There's front wheel, there's back wheel, and there's mid-wheel. And usually they give the mid-wheel power wheelchairs to people who are getting a power wheelchair for the first time. So this type of power wheelchair was really easy. And I'm in an institution, so I really need to get through stairs. Not stairs. Yeah, right. I need to get through tables and furniture and chairs and things like that. So that tight turnaround is what I really need. And we have an elevator, so I need space and need this wheelchair to be able to do a tight turnaround. So that is the simple power wheelchair. It has benefited me a million times over. So manually, I can move the backrest further back if I need to. But I like sitting up straight, so I usually don't move it. It had a headrest. I took it off. The headrest wasn't really useful because it was just a straight up and down headrest, and moving back was just uncomfortable for me. Um, so those are the simple power wheelchairs. Then there's another category that's called the it's called the, let me get to it here, the complex power wheelchairs. Now, the complex power wheelchairs are for those who have serious, doesn't mean mine is not serious, but more complex conditions like ALS or polio or cerebral palsy. You need that wheelchair to do a little bit more, and their parts move. Like if they need to raise their legs, or if they need to lay down flat, or if they need to, so the headrest also moves and can be placed in a specific direction, or in a situation where the headrest is more a support to the head and neck. So those are the complex power wheelchairs, and you have to have the diagnosis necessary to get a complex power wheelchair. You just can't order one or request one just because you think they're cool. You can't. So it really is based on your diagnosis. So that is a conversation you have to have with your therapist. Then let's see, there's the travel ones that are lightweight power wheelchairs that can fold up. Now, these are not meant, and you need to listen to me well, they are not meant to do heavy duty work every day. They are not meant to be used every day. They will break on you. And I don't care what the salesman says to you, they are not made for daily heavy duty use. They're not. So that's really important for you to know. They're meant for lightweight use, for travel. They're going from point A to point B, and that's great. They weigh about 50 to 40 pounds, probably 45 pounds. So you can pick it up pretty easily if you are able to pick up that weight. So that is there's all kinds of fold-up wheelchairs now, so you'd have to look on the market and look at those. They are a little bit more expensive because they're new. They just came on the market maybe a year, 2 years ago, and they're still modifying them. I congratulate those who have been working on those lightweight travel wheelchairs because they are needed for some people. But if you are in the category of using one every day because you need to get out, because you need to do grocery shopping, because you need to go to the clinic, because you need, et cetera, you're going to need something that's a little bit heavy duty. Not the fold-up kind, but the sturdy, heavy-duty kind. That you might need a ramp to your car, yes, to drive up the wheelchair into your car. That is possible. I would suggest that you go to a specialized garage that specializes in accessible vehicles. You might be able to exchange the vehicle you have now for an accessible vehicle. So that will help you with the type of wheelchair that you really need. So it's best to go all the way than halfway and have trouble with the power wheelchair later. Why? Because power wheelchairs are pretty heavy. the regular ones. And the complex power wheelchairs are even heavier. So my wheelchair, which is a simple, basic power wheelchair, weighs 215 pounds. And the complex power wheelchairs weigh even more, 300, 400, even 500 pounds, 600 pounds, depending on how many gadgets they have to have on the wheelchair to suit the person's needs. So this is something you need to keep into consideration when you're looking at a wheelchair of all kinds, of manual, power. And you might say, oh, I think I'm going to go for the manual because it's the only thing I can lift up or whatever. Don't go that route. Just think about it and think about it with a therapist. They can, give you some ideas, or go to one of these specialized garages that can help you think it through also. Because if your resolution is a power wheelchair, which weighs a lot, then you might need to exchange your vehicle, do some adaptations to your vehicle, so et cetera, et cetera. They can help you think through in terms of, you have a vehicle, okay, great. Then let's look at what we can do with the vehicle, or do an exchange of your vehicle and give you one that's accessible, and that you can get your vehicle, your wheelchair, into your van or into your car and go around and happy-go-lucky. So these are all the options that I know of wheelchairs. And that's the basic amount of wheelchairs that you're going to see in the market. So if you have a chronic illness, but it's not to the point where you would need a complex power wheelchair, then you'd have to get a regular power wheelchair and then figure out how you're going to transport it, because that's step number 2, getting the power wheelchair and then figuring out transportation. In my case, we do have a van here that can be used once in a while. And then I use the county services when I need to go to another place. There's not a driver available. So then I use the county van. Once in a blue moon, very seldom do I use the bus, the regular bus. If I want to get my hair cut or something, then I take the bus down to the commercial center and I get my hair cut. But right now, we're going into the dead of winter. It's going to be in the single digits probably this week, or pretty low temps at that. So those are days I don't go out at all. So I'm hoping that this summary of the different types of wheelchairs helps you. You can let yourself do a variety of things. Talk to a salesman. Talk to your physical therapist. Talk to your doctor, because if you're going into a serious wheelchair for your condition, you need a prescription here in the United States. In other places, they don't have that luxury of having an insurance, so they need to raise funds or save up funds to be able to purchase a wheelchair that they really need. So, and there are programs that will get them the wheelchair they need without cost in some cases. So if you need information for your particular town or country, let me know. I'll look it up and see if you can get yourself on a list for an evaluation. All right, folks. It is the 31st, and it is the last day of 2024. And I could say I made it through. You all have made it through. And so that is something to celebrate. So I'm hoping this video is useful. And any questions on this video, please let me know. And we will jump in to give you support and some answers. All right, take care and Happy New Year.